It is often that you come across a piece of media that never garnered the recognition you think it's warranted. From cult classics that retrospectively gain followings, to unsuccessful works whose celluloid is left to gather dust. These pieces illustrate how an art's quality and reception aren't so intertwined. Yet other gems lurk like a phantom in the pop culture consciousness, remaining in the shadows until discovered. A demon in the darkness. I first recall hearing of Toshio Matsumoto's Demons from the samurai channel Bushido Blues, which I'd check out for some niche recommendations. And though intrigued, I doubt anything could have prepared me for how haunting of a film it turned out to be. So in honor of the spookiest of holidays, which I am quite late to, let's check out this oft-forgotten, understudied work that is 1971's Demons. Japan is no stranger to tales of horror, with kaidan or ghost stories dating as far back as the Edo period. Motifs differ from contemporary English ghost stories in the kaidan's ties to Buddhism or Shinto, respectively, and stories often focusing on vengeful spirits haunting the living for past wrongs. While not strictly a kaidan, the 1825 play Kami Kakete Sango Teisetsu, also known as The Lover's Pledge and The Love-Crazed Samurai by Nanboko Soruya, deals with the supernatural as a ronin makes several karmic transgressions. Like many of Soruya's work, the play is an amalgam of sorts, reworking Namiki Gohei's Go Dairiki Koi no Fujime, itself based on a true story of a mass murder, and tying in elements from Soruya's own Tokaido Yotsuya Kaidan and the Chushingura, the tale of the 47 Ronin. Thus, Toshio Matsumoto's adapting the play for the screen is essentially a reinterpretation of a reinterpretation. But if you thought the director Bara no Soretsu or Funeral Parade of Roses would adapt the play's text straight, you thought wrong. Sort of. A scintillating orange sun slowly sets, the landscape turning from a contemporary and familiar film grain to a stark monochrome. We're not only transported from 1971, or 2023 for that matter, to Genroku, Japan, but to a heavily stylized realm of the mind. This is one of the only films that really captures what it may have felt like wandering this historical setting where spirits roam alongside you. Our pseudo-protagonist, Gengube, is running from something. What certainly appears to be lanterns, but may as well be non-corporeal specters floating in the darkness. He urges someone to let him in, and when he does, he comes across this scene. Slain bodies, a severed hand. He tries to wake his lover, only to notice himself hanging from the tenjo. He wakes up. The following will be a summary of the story beat by beat for context. This is an amazing film and I strongly urge you to seek it out. So I'll regard those who stay as those who have already seen this, or do not mind having the twist spoiled. Here's also a time code in case you want to skip straight to the analysis portion. San, ni, ishi. Still here? Okay, here goes. Gengube is a disgraced ronin, one of the 47 ronin under Lord Enya Hangen, who committed seppuku. He, like his compatriots, is laying low to not draw suspicion before they enact their vendetta. This is technically added context from the play, revealed to us in the beginning of the play, though the movie disguises these facts as twists later on revealed. Gengube is supposed to raise 100 ryo as recompense for having goyokin, or public money, stolen under his supervision. But lacking the discipline required, he spends most of his money and time with his girlfriend, the courtesan Koman, who one day shows him a tattoo of devotion, Go Dairiki, with his name in the middle. As an aside, Go Dairiki also stands for 5 great powers, referring to the 5 bodhisattvas of Osaka's Sumiyoshi inner shrine, which would be used as a seal on love letters. Godai Riki was also an alternate name for the original play Nanboku Suruya based his on, but it is important here as it contains a symbol for go, present in the name Gengo-bei. Hachiemon arrives. In the play it's his uncle, but here it could be merely a subservient. He's dismayed at Gengo-bei for his distractions, but later comes up with the 100 ryo raised by his townspeople. A patron, Sango, visits with a letter from Koman, requesting to speak with him. Hachiemon is hesitant to let him go, but Sango finally convinces him. At a tea house in Fukagawa, Gengo-bei and Sango spy on a patron and his cadre looking to buy Koman off, mocking Gengo-bei as a penniless samurai who could never have 100 ryo. The two ambush the group, and Gengo-bei proudly takes Koman after producing the 100 ryo. Only this was just in Gengo-bei's head. When they really confront the group, Gengo-bei crumbles under the pressure, deciding it's better to leave Koman to a better life without him. Koman tries to kill herself with Gengo-bei's wakizashi, and then her hairpin. At this, Gengo-bei forsakes his mission, and repays Koman's ransom debts with 100 ryo. After the patron and his group leave, the ruse is revealed. Koman and Sango are actually husband and wife, the scheme put together by Sango to buy his way into his father's good graces. Considering they're legally husband and wife, Gengo-bei leaves. This is where Gengo-bei breaks and begins his transformation. He manages to track down the group of swindlers who are sleeping after much celebration, and cuts most of them down. The only ones to escape are Sango and Koman. Several days later, Gengo-bei is wanted for the killings, and Koman and Sango are settling into their new life with their child, in Sango's father's good graces. Gengo-bei visits the couple in the most awkward interaction ever. Though Gengo-bei states he bears no grudge and offers sake as a gift, he gleefully imagines them drinking the poisoned sake. Sango signals for help to his stepbrother, and the police arrive to arrest Gengo-bei, citing a pair of bodkin at the scene of the crime as belonging to Gengo-bei. But Deus Ex Hachiemon arrives with the other piece of the bodkin pair and is arrested in his place. Gengo-bei is upset at the two for selling him out and resolves to give up Koman, urging them to drink the sake he brought. Koman's stepbrother arrives for a drink and tensions are high as Sango reveals the 100 ryo is being given to an Enya retainer, while stepbro is a Kono retainer, making them enemies. They run out of their house sake and incidentally give stepbro a drink of Gengo-bei sake. While gathering firewood, Koman finds a map of a floor plan for the Kono mansion. Stepbro tries taking it and succumbs to poison, being finished off by Sango via garroting. Sango leaves to show the map to his father while Koman disposes of her brother's body. Gengo-bei encounters a vision of Hachiemon being sacrificed in the woods, as well as the ghosts of his various victims, a great scene to show how far down he's fallen mentally. He returns to Koman's to find Sango isn't there. Realizing they have a son and that Koman's tattoo is fake, now reading Precious Sangoro, he rages and slashes Koman, then forces her to kill her own baby. Gengo-bei takes Koman's head with him and spirals further into insanity. Visiting his father, Sango reveals he killed his stepbrother and has a map of the Kono compound, to which his father urges him to hide in the barrel. Sango's father, Dokuemon, visits Gangobei and presents him with 100 ryo and the floor plan. It is revealed that Gangobei is actually Soemon, the samurai Sango and Koman had raised money for inadvertently, the same one they cheated the same amount out of. Gangobei reveals his disaffection with the mission and confesses to the Fukugawa murders and that of Koman. Sango pops out of the barrel and, stricken with grief, plunges a knife into his stomach, to be finished off by Gangobei. Distraught, Gangobei, now Soemon, walks away to an uncertain fate. An epilogue reveals that the 47 Ronin completed their mission several months later, though Soemon was not amongst them. You be forgiven for thinking this surrealist masterwork was directed by someone other than the director of Bara no Soretsu, which, albeit experimental, is chiefly a neo-documentarian approach to storytelling. In fact, it's more of a testament to Matsumoto's skill and adaptability that these films are so fundamentally dissimilar in structure, yet identical in effect. This is where knowing more about the auteur may aid this analysis. Boxing Matsumoto in the confines of documentarian leaves out crucial notions of his craft. In Imagining Reality as a Set of Chinese Boxes, an interview with Toshio Matsumoto, conducted by Miyo Inoue and Aaron Kerner for Precision's Asia Critique, Matsumoto outlines the composition of Funeral Parade of Roses as, quote, various dimensions of time made to nest inside one another. The past is situated within the past. Such a structure heightens the spectator's awareness of the boundary of things, the boundary of what is being shot. The scenes in the film are shot as if they were really happening, but in fact they are unfolding within the film, thus blurring boundaries between fiction and the unreal. There are certainly elements of this practice in Demons. This could just as well have been adapted beat by beat, as in 1959's Yotsuya Kaidan, or in 1964's Kwaidan. But what demarcates Demons is how the film is presented in the subjective viewpoint of someone slowly losing grip on reality. When Gangobei visits Koman and Sango, and requests Koman to sing some of his favorite songs, he reminisces about the love he thought to be real.
Koman. はい。悲しい夢でござんした。あれも夢、これも夢じゃ。花の紅の衰えやすきは君が心のごとく。水の流れの限りなきは我が憂いのごとし。
This provides vital insight into Gangobei's mental state. The mind trip that was the intricate Ryo scheme has him doubting whether this plane of existence is even real. Up until the end, Gangobei acts with the abandon of madness, as one acts in a dream where actions have no consequences. His perspective becomes our perspective. As the past repeats, things play out in his imagination as if they're really happening, and we are privy to his visions. The avant-garde, then, is the world of the unconscious. In effect, the surrealist paradigm. It is born in a sort of chaos, through things like dreams or a confused state of mind. Overlapping edits are typically used in action films, especially of the 80s, where the same action is shown consecutively from the same or multiple cameras. The reason it found popularity in action is that it allows the audience to revel in a beat, an explosion, a punch, for longer than strictly warranted in a continuity sense. Here it's used to aid in showing us Gangobei's subjectivity, as well as drawing us, for a moment, into the artifice created by memory.
わしでござんす。わしでござんす。 わしでござんす。
This also comes into play when Gangobei imagines things unfolding in a particular way, only to reveal this was illusory. But unlike in a film like 500 Days of Summer where the illusion is revealed to us in the filmic text, here it unfolds linearly. Reality as we know it is merely a construct. The past something that recurs as if in the present constructed by our wants and desires. The future, our fears. Demons is one such case in which title localizations add different meanings to the film's subtext. Demons is actually the English title, while its original Japanese is Shura. Shura derives from Asura, and represents the Japanese evolution of the Titanic Asura of Indic religions. Ashura is a demonic god of sorts, embroiled in the sensuous aspects of existence, ranging from jealousy and rage to warfare and bloodshed. Many films and media depict humans as capable of transcending to Ashura form, their acts of bloodshed eroding their karma to the point of transformation. There's even a Buddhist realm for the Shura, called Shurado. Perhaps the world Gangobei is inhabiting is Shurado. Gangobei's eroding sanity and propensity for bloodshed certainly make Shura a fitting title, whereas demons, though likely a loose translation, may imply that his corruption is not from within. Many elements justify this reading. The opening spectral hauntings, the shots lingering on the Buddha. There's even a line where Gangobei says,
いかにも鬼じゃ。見たも鬼にはうぬら二人がいたしてくれたわ。
More interesting is the notion that Gangobei is not fully aware when he slips into these murderous rampages, occupying a sort of fugue state that could imply possession. When confronted by the police, he seems genuinely aghast at the mere notion that he murdered any innocents, though later he does confess to the killings in private. Violence in Demons is handled, like with the contemporary samurai films, in a hyper-stylized but realistic manner. Showers of blood read just as bold in black and white. The actors performed agonized death throes, and there are even elements of body horror with severed limbs and the carried severed head of Goman. This certainly could be classified as a horror film, but its motive is not just to conjure fear in a viewer, even if it's particularly effective at horror ambience. There's no music besides a diegetic piece in one scene, further emphasizing the visual. This isn't a pure chanbara or jidaigeki either. The protagonist ends with no redeeming qualities. In fact, its defying generic conventions only serve to bolster its uniqueness. Demons is a journey into the subconscious, a bleak, atmospheric masterwork. All the actors give electric performances, a slight turn from Matsumoto's use of non-professional actors in Funeral Parade. Matsumoto notes how, in the case of this film, Funeral Parade of Roses, I figured that I would be able to shoot more interesting, lively images by using amateurs for 90% of the cast, rather than professional actors. On the other hand, for a film like Shura, I had to choose very skilled actors. Gangobei is played by Katsuo Nakamura, who you may recognize as Hoichi the Airless in the self-named segment in Kobayashi's Kwaidan. Here he gives the best performance I've seen him in, his kabuki experience lending some serious facial expressiveness, enough to give Nakadai's eye acting a run for his money. His transformation from misguided but noble warrior to spiritually beleaguered murderer follows an inverse arc to that of Sango, a nefarious petty swindler who turns to gentleness and domesticitude. Ultimately, both are resigned to the same gruesome fates, a complete destruction of the mind. Sango's only option is the darkness death affords, while Gangobei's is potentially far worse. Unable to redeem himself through vendetta, he is instead made to walk amongst the living, as a Shura. As you've likely picked up from the clips used, Demon's lighting and cinematography are things of wonder. I've seen high contrast emulating stage light like this in the likes of Oshima's Night and Fog in Japan, but not to the degree seen here. Besides general sets, shadows completely engulf scenery to the point where characters appear as figures in a void. their faces ivory beacons made life. Aside from making demons ooze an atmosphere, it can subtextually point to the ever-present yin, dark, and yang, light. There is good, and there is evil. No in-between. It's anyone's guess as to why this film didn't make a bigger splash. Funeral Parade of Roses certainly garnered much critical attention in the years following its release, for its own unique brand of neo-Japanese avant-garde. Meanwhile, amongst several hundreds of period films in Japan, Demon sits mostly in obscurity for Western audiences. It doesn't even have a Wikipedia page. For now. And it's hard to get a hold of a physical copy, or at least a DVD that's not $100. This would make a good candidate for a Criterion release. Its current condition is already so stellar, I can't imagine what a restoration would bring out, let alone supplementary materials that are scant available. Scholarship and interest on this piece aren't very high, and this analysis has only breached the surface. But with that, I highly recommend seeking this one out and giving it a shot. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you around.